The movie opens with the introduction of a restaurant's personnel: Inacio, the manager, Sarah, the waitress, and Jer, the chef, along with his 2 assistants. One night, the restaurant is about to close when a customer named Amadou walks in. As a result, all of the staff members are forced to stay until the customer leaves. Upon serving him the food, an exhausted Sarah goes to the staff room where her coworker Lucio is preparing to leave. He flirts with her, but she brushes him off in a lighthearted manner. Their banter is soon interrupted by Inacio, who informs them about the arrival of 2 more customers, Bruno and Veronica. With one of them needing to work, Sarah opts to stay, while Lucio departs. Inacio then goes to inform Jer, to which the latter responds that his shift is already over. However, the manager checks the time and tells him that there's 15 minutes left. Shortly after, Inacio receives a call from his wife, who tells him that she has damaged their car again. This news infuriates him, but he controls his anger and hangs up the call after instructing her to get a cab home. He then vents his anger by breaking a tap in the washroom. Meanwhile, Sarah approaches Bruno and Veronica for order, but being a couple, they keep on kissing instead. Following this, she summons Inacio, who then approaches them to ask about their preferable food. They order a special wine, which Inacio quickly serves. As the customers dine, Inacio talks to Sarah in private. He informs her about a food journalist who will be visiting their restaurant the next day. He emphasizes the need to present the restaurant in the best light. For this, Inacio asks for her suggestions, but Sarah assures that she will handle it. Through their conversation, we learn that Sarah likes Inacio, despite the fact that he is married. Sometime later, Jer's 2 assistants come out of the kitchen to leave. Seeing this, Inacio warns them that he'll fire them if they leave the premises. However, the young assistants are unfazed, so they leave without any fear. Not long after, Jer also walks out of the kitchen as his working shift is over. Inacio asks him to wait in the kitchen, but the latter refuses. Instead, he asserts that Inacio shouldn't make his employees work overtime for his personal gain. All of a sudden, 2 armed robbers, Magno and Nuno, break into the restaurant and hold everyone at gunpoint while demanding money. They also capture Veronica and begin to force themselves upon her. During this, Nuno has her gaze on Sarah and proceeds to kiss her. However, Magno stops him and tells him to focus on their heist. This leads to a heated argument between the 2 robbers. Inacio uses the distraction as an opportunity to retrieve his firearm and shoot Nuno, leaving him critically injured. He then threatens Magno to drop the gun, which the latter complies with. Following this, everyone asks Inacio to call the police, but he refuses, as it'll have a negative impact on his restaurant's reputation. Instead, he instructs Sarah to tie Magno up and lock him in the storeroom. In the midst of this, Veronica secretly acquires a table knife and hides it in her dress. She then insists on calling the police, as she wants justice. When Inacio still refuses to involve the authorities, she demands $100 million as financial repercussions. Before Inacio can answer her, Jer intervenes and says that they need to take Nuno to the doctor urgently. He claims that the place will be cursed forever if he dies here. In an unexpected turn of events, Inacio points the gun towards the chef and accuses him of being the mastermind behind this robbery. Jer denies the allegation, asserting that he has been working hard for the betterment of the restaurant. But now that he feels betrayed, he yells at Inacio, addressing him as an inconsiderate and selfish person. He also curses that the restaurant will soon shut down due to his such demeanor. As tension escalates, Inacio orders Sarah to tie up the chef as well. The 2 then close the exit door, preventing anyone from escaping. Sensing the imminent threat Inacio possesses, Amadou suggests to Sarah that she call the police because he can go to any extent for the sake of his reputation. But instead of listening to him, Sarah complains about him to her boss, also speculating that he's a police officer. Subsequently, Inacio and Sarah restrain everyone and lock them in the kitchen. A short while later, Veronica pretends that she has to use the washroom urgently, so Sarah escorts her. While the 2 of them are alone, Veronica tries to persuade Sarah against supporting Inacio, as he isn't doing the right thing. She even offers financial assistance as well as a settled life if she helps them get out. However, Sarah, who is in love with Inacio, remains inclined towards him and turns down the offer rudely. Upon realizing that she can't persuade her, Veronica comes up with another plan. She requests for privacy in the bathroom, claiming that she can't relieve herself in front of anyone. Sarah agrees and grants her 5 minutes to finish up. As soon as she leaves, Veronica takes out the knife from her dress and frees herself from the restraints. When Sarah returns, she attacks her with the knife and runs towards the front door. Inacio tries to stop her, but she swings the knife on his face as well. This enrages him so much that he shoots her at point-blank range, killing her instantly. The sound of the gunshots scares the other captives in the kitchen, but they're unable to do anything. In the aftermath of this event, Inacio and Sarah dispose of both Veronica and Nuno's recently deceased bodies in the storeroom. They then start cleaning the bloody mess while talking to each other. Sarah suggests that they run away from the city and start a new life together. However, Inacio is not sure about abandoning his wife and business. After a while of deliberation, he decides to blame the deaths on Jer. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, the captives attempt to devise an escape plan. Jer asks Amadou to think of some clever tactics due to his background as a police officer. However, Amadou responds that he retired a long time ago. Their discussion is soon interrupted when Inacio and Sarah walk in. They proceed to untie Jer in order to have a private conversation with him. During this, Bruno notices his wife's earring on Sarah's ear, so he asks about her whereabouts. However, nobody replies to him. Just then, the doorbell rings, so Inacio quickly turns on the music before instructing Sarah to check. Upon answering the door, she finds Lucio, who claims to have forgotten his phone inside. However, she refuses to let him in as it's too late and convinces him to pick it up the next day. Afterwards, Inacio restrains Jer and Magno and coerces them into revealing their motive. He questions Magno if he's working for Jer. In an unexpected turn of events, Magno takes Sarah's name, claiming that she is the mastermind behind all of this. A shocked Sarah denies the allegation, saying that she doesn't know him at all and that he's only trying to frame her. She pleads with Inacio, asking him not to listen to Magno because she will never betray him. Upon hearing all of this, Inacio grabs a table knife and slits Magno's throat mercilessly. He then turns to Jer and cuts off his long hair. Here, it is revealed that Jer is homosexual, and because of this, Inacio hates him as well as his personality. He is retraining him only because he is a good chef. Following this, Jer is sent back to the kitchen where he confides everything that happened to the others. Amadou wonders why Jer was spared, to which the latter replies that Inacio is not in a hurry. On the other hand, Inacio decides to teach Sarah how to use a gun, but just when he hands it to her, she points the gun at him, ordering him to take off his clothes. The latter complies and the two end up engaging in intimate activity. Once they are done, Inacio receives a call from his wife, who begins to nag him as usual. She addresses his restaurant as garbage and tells him to shut it down, as he has no personal time for her. This enrages Inacio, so he hurls the phone against a mirror. Sensing his stress, Sarah once again tries to persuade him to go and live together in a place far away from all of this. When he still expresses his concern about his restaurant, Sarah calls him a coward. This further intensifies his anger, and as a result, he warns her against talking to him in such a way. Back in the kitchen, Amadou somehow manages to free himself from captivity and walks out instead of helping the others. He launches his attack on Sarah from behind, but before he can harm her, he is knocked down by Inacio. A short while later, Amadou regains his consciousness and asks for a glass of wine. He then initiates a conversation, saying that he knows what is going through Inacio's head. According to the retired officer, he had also killed an innocent person in the past, the action which he still regrets. He says that the innocent person shot him in his leg in self-defense, and since then, the bullet has been giving him pain. As an experienced individual, Amadou advises Inacio that he shouldn't kill innocent people, but the latter brushes him off. By this point in time, we learn that Inacio is not mentally stable and that he is enjoying this murdering game. As their conversation unfolds, Amadou tells him that he has called the police. Inacio freaks out initially, but upon noticing his shivering hand, he realizes that the man is lying. Following this, he grabs a heavy object from the table and smashes Amadou's hand to death. Meanwhile, we see Sarah in the kitchen, eating desperately and behaving like an animal. During this, Jer tries to explain to her that Inacio is only using her and that he has no feelings towards her. Sarah is clearly hurt to hear this, but she opts not to believe him. She then returns to Inacio, only to discover that he has killed Amadou as well. At this point in time, she realizes that he will eventually kill all of them, including her, but she is still unable to figure out what she should do. So, she rushes to the washroom and stares at herself in the broken mirror. Not long after, Inacio calls her out and hands her a gun, ordering her to kill Bruno. But no matter how loyal she is towards him, she is unable to muster enough courage to pull the trigger. As a result, she points the gun towards Inacio, requesting that he let her go. When the latter refuses, she tries to shoot him, but to her surprise, the gun is empty. Inacio pulls out the loaded gun and guns down Bruno in a ruthless manner. He then charges towards Sarah and stabs her with a small knife as a consequence of betraying him. While she remains unconscious, Ignacio proceeds to the kitchen in order to execute his last hostage, Jer. But surprisingly, Jer turns the tables around. He manages to gain the upper hand and tie Ignacio up. Following this, he collects his cut hair and leaves the place without doing any harm to Sarah. Sometime later, Sarah regains consciousness and she goes to lie beside Ignacio. He requests that she untie him, but she instead kills him by stabbing him multiple times. The movie ends with Sarah mutilating his dead body into pieces, probably to dispose of it. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.